Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I want to thank our listeners from last week and thank Josh Pele Magic for joining us. But we got another great guest this week. My guest this week founded Cyber Warrior Studios to help develop a community of inclusivity and growth. That's a big word for me. So he hosts multiple podcasts, including the Cybersecurity Hour, which, in case I'm really wrong, is 7 o'clock on Friday nights, and a podcast called Walk With Me that comes out every Wednesday. These are meant to drive involvement in the community through interactive discussion. He has a strong support system at home and knows that the support of the IT and the cyber community in its entirety is what it allows him to provide this resource to all and continue to drive towards building a new definition of the quote table that everyone has a chance to gain their seat over time. Please welcome the Cyber Warrior. What's up, man?
Yo, I'm here, and I'm here for it. We're here for the party. That's what we do, right?
we are,
I mean,
we,
I was told we can have a beer, we
well,
can say
hell
what we
yeah.
want. I'm here for the party. Let's do it.
That reminds me, I didn't do this the last 2 weeks because I had some guests that were kind of I don't want to use the term straight laced, but straighter laced than we normally do when I have a comedian on or somebody like that. But the rules to the show. The show is different than another one that I heard you on. It's a lot different, and the rules to the show are these: there are no fucking rules.
Oh,
You
sounds
know,
like my show.
we can say whatever the fuck we want, but I do have one really important question before we get started. It's really
Do it.
important. It's super important. You ready?
Yep.
What are you drinking?
Yingling, always.
Okay.
That's well, look. So I got Yingling, and then I got IPA in the fridge for when I want to get really hammered.
I
But
got you. I got you.
Yingling.
I got a little glass here. It says Sweetwater 420. I don't know if you guys have it up there.
Haven't seen it. But I haven't looked either. My IPA in the fridge right now is opposite Bang. When it's not that, it's usually Broken Skull IPA.
Nice.
Huge wrestling fan. So for me,
Nice.
Broken Skull, and it's so delicious. Oh,
Nice.
So good.
Look, I mean, what part of the world are you in?
I'm actually in Western PA. Well, yeah, more Western PA still. So close to Pittsburgh.
The soon-to-be world-famous wife is from Western PA. It's
Nice.
a little town called Latrobe.
Actually, how you doing? That's where I live.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm actually in the Greensburg Latrobe area. So
the Greensburg.
I grew up in South
area.
Hills. So okay. I grew up in the city. I grew up basically in the ghetto, and went through public school systems and everything, and went through the Army eventually. I was in the Air National Guard. Then I went active duty Army, moved around a ton, and then when me and my wife finally came back here, I lived in Pitcairn, Monroeville area for a little bit. Lived in Altoona for a little bit, and then moved to Blairsville, and then we finally bought a house about a year or so ago in Greensburg, Latrobe area.
Does that make you a Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
Die hard, homie. Granted, actually, that would require me to actually watch football, which I didn't watch any of this season.
No?
In previous years, I had watched every game, never missed a game. But ever since probably last year, I just kind of was like, well, my kids aren't huge football fans. And it just wasn't the same because I wasn't going to my parents every day or every Sunday or hanging out with family or friends. So for me, it was just kind of one of those, what are we doing today? It didn't even bother me anymore that I wasn't watching football.
Sure.
And let's be honest, they get paid millions of dollars to bitch and complain about their salary.
I broadcast from Jacksonville, Florida, and it's cold down here right now. It's like 50 degrees.
Oh, that's so cold.
It's
so
very
cold.
It's very cold. That pisses off everybody.
50 degrees is like warm to me, man. I got my hoodie on. I'm going out there with the sleeves rolled up like, let's go have a cigarette. Come
on. Here's a bit of trivia for you that there's been one team in the history of the NFL that has gone into Pittsburgh in the same season and beaten the Steelers, and this team has done it twice. Do you know which team
In the
that
same
is?
season?
In the same season. There's only been one team to do it, and the team to
Very
do it has
few
done it
teams have
twice.
ever done that. You're from Jacksonville. Well, you're living in Jacksonville, so I
Oh,
want
I'm
to say
from Jacksonville,
Jacksonville.
born and
You're
raised.
from there?
Oh yeah, I'm
So
the one. I'm the one.
I want to say Jacksonville just because that's where you're from, but
That is
I highly doubt that.
that is correct.
Is it really them?
Yep.
So they beat them
Jacksonville
in the
Jack-
regular season and the playoffs.
and in the playoffs twice, 2007 and 2017.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
it's
look,
nuts.
New England has usually like beat us in the regular season, and then we beat them
Yeah.
in the postseason, or they
Sure.
beat us, or we beat them in the regular season more often than not, and then they beat us in the postseason. So to have a team beat us in the regular season and the postseason is very rare.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. In Pittsburgh. It was nuts.
That's right.
So
I like it.
so
All right.
you're is it snowing up there right now?
Nah, man, it's like 50 degrees today. I'm
Oh,
good.
that's cool. That's like it is here.
Yeah, it's
you
warm.
know? So you do cybersecurity,
Yes.
correct? I want to touch on that here for a little bit, because I'm a watcher of anything that has anything like CIA or anything like that into it, and they always got a computer guy. But you're gonna find with me, with everything that I have, that there's a story to what I'm trying to get a point, and I have a point. But first off, what is cybersecurity? If we didn't know,
It is the protection of all data,
okay,
electronic and physical. And I say physical
okay,
because what a lot of people miss is that physical security realm still falls under security, still cybersecurity, because your doors have locks and there's a lot of protections that your chief information security officer puts in place to prevent access to data. Writing down passwords is physical security. If you can get into the office and I can read your password, that's physical security. So, in my eyes, cybersecurity, kind of like information security, is all data. Whether it's on a computer or not, it falls under everything.
okay. So to go down the rabbit hole a little bit here, because I've always wanted to start a conspiracy theory.
Yes.
But how at risk are all of us? Like, do we even know the level of risk that we are at?
Well, I love the fact that you use the term risk, because
Okay.
that is a lot of what we do. So what do you mean by at risk as far as all of us? Because
Okay,
you
so
can look at it from a personal standpoint, or you can look at it from a data protection standpoint of other companies.
Okay, so a lot of people use any digital device to look at their balance, to look at emails, to
Mhm.
I know a guy right now that's going through a big time loan process, and every bit of information that he gave them was over a computer, and there's some sensitive information in there that you wouldn't necessarily want anybody to get. And I know like there are viruses and things of that nature. I know John McAfee tried to save the world with his antivirus software, but he was a fucking crazy nut to begin with.
Or him
So-
living in on an island surrounded by foil and tin and everything else, and lead and everything else like that. Yeah,
Probably
It was fucking
hookers
batshit
too.
crazy.
He probably
well,
had some
yeah,
really good
and
hookers.
blow. He had
Yeah.
hookers and blow all the
Oh,
time.
dude.
Of course.
Dude, he I guarantee you, if they ever release like the Epstein, the actual log of anybody who went there, I guarantee he's on it.
They'll never release that.
No, I
That
know,
would
because
implicate the entire government. What the hell are you talking about? That shit ain't gonna fucking happen.
we're probably on a list just talking about it.
Oh, I'm on a list, but that's ridiculous. It's okay.
I'm on a list, but it's because the Catholics are coming after me.
Well, that happens too. Let's be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. I'm a little old for them. The Catholic
The
priests.
Vatican don't like
from
me.
what I heard, they like them young. Yeah, that's for our Catholic friends
Oh,
out
man.
there. If you're
See,
Catholic,
look, my wife was raised Catholic. My mom was raised Catholic.
I'm
I got
sorry.
nothing against Catholics other than their man-made laws, and they're, interested in boys priests.
I will tell you
I'm
this.
just saying.
I will tell you this. For years of going after the religious community, the number one question that I get asked personally is why am I anti-Catholic? And I answer it the same way every time. I'm not anti-Catholic. I'm anti fucking little boys.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
That's what I'm
well,
anti.
so my thing is, so to just because religion was brought up, so
Sure, sure.
here's my deal. For me, I'm anti-religion.
Okay.
Religion as a whole requires you to believe the way they want you to believe. Almost cultish, right? And you'll notice a lot of people that, not everybody, a lot of people, not everybody, that fall into religion become very judgmental, very, you have to believe my way. So even though they're all Christian or whatever, you have to believe my way. And you see that same thing in even the Norse paganism and other communities. You have to believe my way. When you fall into it as a religion, it becomes very cultish in that it's my way or the highway. When you rely on it as a faith in spirituality of, I'm going to interpret this holy book or this religion or this, or not religion, but this spirituality in this way. And I'm going to take my journey, my faith, and interpret it as I see fit. It's a whole different can of worms. You will find a lot more open-mindedness and a lot more acceptance. The Catholic faith has a ton of man-made laws. So do other religions, but the Catholic faith is the biggest one in the world right now. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
Oh,
But
no,
they're probably the biggest Christian religion, if not one of the biggest religions.
I think
out
they
there.
are the biggest.
Yeah. So they have a lot of man-made laws.
Sure.
And they have been put on the podium for molestation and all these other issues that have gone on.
It's not
And
just
so with that, it is a problem because they don't combat it, they hide it, and they move somebody else somewhere else.
It's
It
the
never gets put
the systemic cover up of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's my issue. Now, there's been cover-ups in other religions. I know this for a fact. I know people who have pressed charges in won cases in other religions. But it is the whole premise of the cover-up. The cover-up is the biggest thing that I have an issue with. But you've been seeing this for decades.
Sure.
Within religious institutions. That's why I rely more on faith and spirituality these days versus religion.
Well, since you brought it up, I'm with you. I do believe in God. I think though, why do we believe our story and other stories are, I mean to question. I mean to, why do we believe this one story? Because we were taught like kids, like I follow a comedian named Bill Burr.
Oh, I love him. He's great.
And he if you listen to his podcast, he'll say every now and again, he'll be like, well, why is, like, take Scientology, for example, why is that less believable than a chick who fucked before, has a child, he walks on water, and 3 days later he rose from the dead.
Let's be real. There's been a lot of documentaries out there about Scientology that prove why they're so fucked up. But I get his point. I understand the point.
Right.
But I think Scientology, and now this is basing it off of South Park, to be real.
Okay.
Mormon and the way they make. Now, granted, if you look at the Mormon faith and kind of what they believe, it is still morally right, I would say.
Yeah, but their story is unfucking believable. You have this fucking guy.
And I feel the same way about Scientology. The story itself.
You have this fucking guy that finds these
crazy.
you have these fucking guy that finds these plates that no one saw, right? And then he writes down everything, reburies them. No one ever finds them, and then Jesus comes to America, and then tells him that it's cool to have about 50 wives. But you can only fuck one of them a day. That doesn't sound fucking stupid to anybody else.
Dude, the South Park rendition of that shit is so
Sure.
hilarious. I just laugh my ass off. But again, I don't attack any particular religion because I look at it as, look, you believe, as long as you are morally right, I can give two shits what you believe.
Sure.
I really could. You do you, boo-boo. That's just like anything else in this world. You do you. If it makes you happy and if everybody is in agreement, who the fuck cares? I don't care what you do with your life. As long as you're not out there killing, raping, murdering, like stealing, I don't care. I don't.
Sure.
I really don't.
We got a comment
Mormons aren't
from
laughing, apparently.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah. Brandon says the Mormons aren't laughing. No, they're not. Especially the FLDS, people. Those fucking freaks. So, real quick, want to touch on cybersecurity. Let me get back. But I want to get back. We're gonna get back into this here in a second.
Yeah, let's touch on cyber. Look, that's my whole. Look, that's where I got my start. So let's run with it.
Okay, so let me ask you this: were you before what got you into cybersecurity? Were you a hacker?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because you're thinking of hacker in the mainstream media terms, which is doing illegal shit. Hacker, and I said this to other people, is actually not illegal. Hacking isn't illegal. Hacking isn't a crime. Hacking is a mindset.
Okay.
So, growing up, I built computers. I fixed computers. I've been doing that shit since I was like 8 years old. I'm now 36. So I've been working on computers since the time of MS-DOS and before, coming all the way up through Windows 3.11 and now with Windows 11. Been playing with Linux and all these other operating systems for a while. So for me, the first thing I did to got me into security, beyond getting kicked off the internet from my friends because I had America Online and they were dickheads and sent me punters that literally booted me offline.
Yeah, I had a friend that had one of those.
Fucking pricks. He had a few of them. MySpace was the first thing.
Okay.
So when MySpace came around and people could actually code their social media profiles, not like Facebook and everything else that took off, MySpace allowed you to actually do a lot more than what other platforms do these days. And so I started coming on to malware and viruses and shit like that. And for me, I looked at it and I was like, I wonder what this shit'll do and if I can get rid of it. So the one day I was running, this is back in probably 2000, early 2000s. I don't even know the year. It's early 2000s. I know I built my computer. It was running Windows Vista. So it had to be like 04, 05, something like that. And I come across a MySpace profile and it was like, hey, you need to download this to view this profile. No, I don't. Well, let's have fun. Let's see what it does. Oh, that was a bad idea. It was such a bad idea. Because I ended up looking at it and, well, not looking at it, but I downloaded it. Vista came up with its user acceptance. I forget what the UAC stands for, but it came up with the UAC. It said, do you really want to install and run and do all this shit? Yeah, fuck it. Let's go for it. Bad idea. I got pop-up after pop-up after pop-up. Essentially, it was a logic bomb, or I forget what they call it these days. But it basically blew up my computer with pop-ups and would have overloaded all my resources. So I had to find a way to shut it off. I shut it all off, restarted the computer, ended up getting rid of it. Actually, I don't know if I ever got rid of it. I think I gave it to my sister with that just shut off so it would never run.
Are you still rocking the AOL email?
No. No, I got rid of that years ago.
Okay.
I got about 10 different emails, though, so it may still be out there. I still have a Yahoo email out there.
Oh, yeah? What about Hotmail?
I'm sure that one still exists. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure it's still out there.
Okay.
I have about 4 Gmail addresses, give or take. A few
Sure.
Proton mail addresses,
Okay.
a few work addresses, and yeah, I got a few. I probably got about 10 email addresses right now.
How easy is it to hack an email address?
Depends on how you have it configured.
Okay.
So,
what does that mean?
I don't have it on me.
Okay.
Well, we'll use my phone for example.
Okay.
So I have what's called 2FA or MFA or whatever. The two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication. The list can go on. Depending on how it is, it could be different. But essentially, if somebody goes to log into my Gmail accounts from a computer that I have not logged in from, it comes to my phone, or it requires you to use a hardware token, which is this little USB key that I have to plug into my computer and say, yeah, go ahead, log in. Without either one of those, you can't log into my email. Now, if you decide to not enforce those and not implement those, then yes, I can probably go through your social media accounts and go through any website you own and find a password that you would have used. I could probably get in. I'm not as good. So about a day. Others that are really good probably pull all your information and get into any one of your accounts within, I don't know, an hour, give or take.
Nice. The reason I ask is because during the pandemic, when everybody was chilling, I received an email that had some pretty sensitive information on it that not many people know. And what
Was it
the
the
email
porn
basically,
email about you looking at porn and they had your picture and they were going to send it out?
yeah, yeah. So,
Man, you should
so
have told them to get your good side.
no, what I told him was I emailed him back and I said, "Look, man, everybody in my family knows that I'm a fucking freak,
There you
so
go.
fire away, buddy. Send it out. Otherwise go fuck yourself. And it was like, hey, pay me $5,000 in the next, 24 hours. It just
Yeah.
screams scam, but I wonder how many people actually fall for shit like that, or the
A lot.
Nigerian prince, or or saw somebody saying that they work for Microsoft and calling an elderly person and working on their computer and charging them $3,500 or whatever.
So I would say the Nigerian print scam doesn't work as often anymore, but there are quite a few that do. The Apple scams, I've gotten quite a few. What were they? Emails or text messages or some shit of you're logged in, your Apple iCloud account has been hacked, and you're logged in from locations we don't know. Da, 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 da. I've actually called them and fucked with them. It's fun.
Right.
Because they don't ever name the location that I'm actually living in.
Right.
So I'm like, y'all fucked up, homie. If you would have at least said where I live, it would be a different story. But because you didn't, fuck you, get bed. I'll deal with you later. The Social Security accounts are huge. Tax scams are huge. And really anything dealing with jail. So those ones are huge. As far as emails go, and here's the thing, and so before the show we talked about you listening to Walk With Me.
Sure.
And if you look back earlier in the episodes, I did one on emotions. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions out there. So
fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And it leads to the dark side. Damn straight. But fear itself, if I can get you to be afraid and be fearful of anything, I can almost convince you to do just about anything I want. I can convince you to go buy gift cards, to go send me Bitcoin, to go do whatever. Fear itself will get you to do just about anything. And so emotion is how these things work.
Sure. So
And that's why I'm never afraid, because I've gotten letters that have literally had everything but the first digit of my social security number saying, hey, you owe us this X amount of dollars. And I've looked at you going, cool, I was in the Army and all my information is already out there. Get fucking bent, because I know what I owe people.
So real quick, and I don't expect you to answer this. You're probably gonna be like, yeah, it's none of your business. But have you ever, or are you currently a member of Anonymous?
I wish, but no. That'd be fun. That'd be a fucking blast. I would
These
do that
guys
shit
are
in a heartbeat.
heroes.
If they invited me, I'd be like, look, can we take down the student loan system and the credit system? That's all I care about. If we could
So
take them motherfuckers down, game on.
So you like the book and the movie Fight Club?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, where they're trying to take down the credit system.
dude.
Yeah, or
Mr.
start it
Robot,
over.
Fight Club, fuck it. Let's take it all down. If the
Yeah.
power grid would go down tomorrow, I would not bitch. I'm like,
Nice.
cool, let's go camping. Let's go start a fire. Let's go camping. We'll be all right. Let's go
Okay.
hunting.
Okay. So here's where I get into the conspiracy thing. Okay, so Edward Snowden. Okay.
Yes,
Ed Snowden.
in
Is
Russia
he
right now. Yeah.
is
What
he
about him?
a hero or is he a traitor?
Man, it's a toss up. He's both.
I mean, some would say, I mean, because
He's
you're
both.
military, and thank you for your service. So, and he was military, correct?
No. He was a contractor for the NSA.
Okay. So a lot of people think we're getting some comments here, and we'll get back to the religion here in a
He's a
second.
little behind. He's back on the religion still.
Yeah, we'll get back to the religion here in a second. But anyhow, Ed Snowden, people like that, how much is the government watching us?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
That's the thing. So here's the thing. Was Ed Snowden wrong for the way he did things? Yes. Not for what he did. That's the kicker. There are whistleblower laws out there. There are ways he could have done things that would have been the right way to do things.
Gotcha.
He had permissions. He had the ability to do shit because the NSA didn't secure shit from him. He had basically full access to find all this shit out and all that stuff. So, with what he knew and what he knew about what these three-letter agencies were doing, was he wrong in exposing it? No. However, he was wrong in how he did it because it went against all of the laws and all of the protections that are in place for other whistleblowers, which makes it really hard for other whistleblowers because now more and more people are keeping track and locking this stuff down and doing different things. And there's so many other things out there. But he was right and wrong. He was right for what he did, wrong for how he did it. And then he ran off to Russia and sold all the data to them. So, I mean, that's also where he's wrong. Is instead of staying here and dealing with the fucking shit that he did, he probably gave everything we had to other countries, which makes it even more wrong.
So what about somebody like Julian Assange?
I don't know enough about that case, to be honest.
Okay.
That's just the truth. I know there's WikiLeaks and kind of the shit they did and the way that stuff got out. Again, a lot of this just comes down to you're trusted with information. Makes it hard.
Sure.
It makes it really, really difficult because there's like, yeah, this is wrong. And I think the way people do things is wrong, but their reasoning is not. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I wanna go to bat for you, but there's laws in place to like do this shit the right way. Now, if there was any proof, and again, we'll never know. It's one of those things. You want to talk about conspiracy theories and shit like that? I fucking think the government covers up so much shit. So it wouldn't matter how high up the chain he went. No, it wouldn't matter how high up the chain anybody went. Anything that deals with DOD, anything that deals with the government, anything that deals with anything like that, will never come to the light of day. So I think sometimes a lot of these people are made criminals that probably shouldn't have been. That
Sure.
had this been able to come to the light of day because it was there, yeah. But in other companies, we expect that. But in the government, they're going to silence all that. So do you really have a choice? Do you really have an option on how you go about exposing these things?
It's freaky to some. Now, to turn the page a little bit and get back to what we were talking about, and we were talking about a little bit of this on offline, that I heard you were on a episode, or 2 episodes actually, of Pedals of Support,
Mhm.
which is a podcast, with Unfiltered Studios. And anyhow, but it wasn't at that point, but it is now. Anyhow,
Nice. Love it.
so yeah, so you were talking about your childhood and growing up in a Christian family, correct?
Mhm.
How was that, and how did we get to Norse paganism?
So it's something that my parents still don't agree with. And
Okay.
that is, so I was forced to go to church every Sunday. I went to Sunday
Okay.
school every Sunday. I was baptized Lutheran. I am. I'm a baptized Christian Lutheran for years. And honestly, if I didn't have a hoodie on, I've got a cross over an American flag that says "In God We Trust" around it.
Nice.
That's how I was raised, and that's what I believed for so long. And for me, it was more about, I didn't necessarily disagree back then. I still think that Christianity is real. I still think that God is real. Whether you call him Yahweh, God, whatever, God is real. But I
Jehovah.
also believe in multiple gods, right? So being Norse paganism, Odin, Thor, Freya, Frigg, you name it, Loki, they're all real. It's just one of those things where after all of the pain, all of the heartache, all of the negativity, all of the corruption of the faith that I have seen, and that goes back to watching any documentary of any Catholic, of the Crusades, of whatever, so much corruption within the faith that I could not walk that path anymore. It did not sit well with me. And honestly, throughout all of my churches that I have gone to throughout the years, only one felt like home. That pastor died on the shortly after being on the operating table for open heart surgery, and I never felt at home again. And so for me, when I found Norse paganism and kind of the way I go about my life, and the fact of earning things, it spoke more to me and who I am as a person. Now, again, I have nothing against any faith. I have things against religions, not faiths,
Right.
and that's the big ticket item. People want to believe in a religion.
Well,
No.
explain the difference.
All right, so faith is the belief in. So let's say you believe in God.
Yeah.
That's faith. You read the Bible, you believe in God, you interpret your own way. That's faith, that's your own journey, that's whatever. Religions interpret the Bible for you. They tell you how to think. They tell you what you should believe. And what I have found in religions is that they become very judgmental. They become very much, if you're not Catholic, you can't marry a Lutheran. You can't, have a godparent that is a different religion because you're Catholic. You have to believe what we believe. If you don't believe this, then it doesn't sit with us. You're not allowed. Whereas if you do things based on faith, that's your own spirituality. That's your own
Sure.
soul. That is what you believe. You're interpreting your own way. And that's why the non-denominational Christians tend to be more open and accepting of everybody else. We're not going to force our belief on you. We're not going to force our religion on you. We can have a religious conversation, and I do with my wife's godfather's brother all the time. He's a non-denominational Christian pastor, and we talk all the time, and he has nothing against me, and we can have religious conversations, and it's good. But when you talk to people that are religious and believe in the religion, not the faith, it's a completely different story. They become very, very, very cultish.
Let me ask you this, and you brought up the Bible here for a second, and I ask people this all the time, and I get, depending on who you ask and what denomination you ask, and yeah, it just, is the Bible up for personal interpretation, or should it be taken literally?
So it's a rough question, because even when I look at the Poetic Edda, which is a Christian man's interpretation of what the Norse stories were,
Hmm.
especially when you look at things like the Havamal and things like that. The Havamal, which a lot of people live and die by because it's the wisdom of Odin, um, is very sexist and very misogynistic in the way it comes across some of its messaging. I won't deny that, but I also told my son, you got to look at the time that it was written, who told the stories, and all these other things. The Bible was written by man.
Okay.
The Bible, just like all holy books, were written by man. They are up for interpretation.
Every single one of them.
Everyone.
So
Because the
Bible,
one thing I
Quran.
will say this is, when you look at everything, I'm gonna go off the rails for a second here.
Oh, dude, go off.
Let's take the man shall not lay with another man, but then you find another passage in the Bible that contradicts that. Everybody wants to find one verse or whatever in the Bible and be like, oh yeah, it's this. You have to agree with this. But then you go 2 verses later or 2 stories later, a different gospel, a different person says something completely different.
Sure.
It's all up for interpretation. Now, the way I see it is, there's 10 commandments. So if you're going to
Yep.
be a Christian, there are 10 commandments. You should love everybody. I don't give a damn how you want to interpret the Bible. Love everyone. If you
Agreed.
don't agree with their beliefs, if you don't agree with what they do, that's fine. But you don't say they're sinners. We're all sinners. Again, raised Christian, you're born a fucking sinner. Everything you fucking do is a sin.
Yep.
It doesn't fucking matter. It is all about what you believe. You know how many fucking homosexuals, trans, you name it, that I've met that have been the best people I have ever known.
Sure.
And I have met the straightest people in the world, and they're the most judgmental and biggest assholes I have ever met in my life. So to sit here and judge people and be like, oh, because it's in the Bible, this is a sin and you're going to hell, get fucking bent. Get bent, because it's all about how you live your life. It is all about whether or not you were morally right and you are morally good. And that's where the 10 Commandments, as a Christian, that's where the 10 Commandments would come into play. Are you killing someone? Are you cheating on your spouse? Are you taking your neighbor's spouse? Are you lying? Are you doing these other things? No? Or are you repentant because you've done them? Okay. Otherwise, get fucking bent. Like, are you really going to judge someone based on some story you read that contradicts itself 2 pages later? Let's be real. Oh, we lost him. Oh, I'm here alone. Hey, Brandon, how you doing? Yes, you're right. Everybody covers up their own crap. I don't know. We lost our guest. We're still live. I'll run it. Fuck it. Let's do this shit. Look, so no, honestly, that's how I feel. I fall more in the Norse paganism route. That's just me. That's my journey. That's my path. That's who I am. I'm sure we'll see our guest or our host come back here in a little bit. But I've done live shows. Where do my morals come from? It's a good question. A little bit on how I was raised. Actually, a lot about it, how I was raised. But there are three things that I'm always going to be against. Three, maybe four. No, about three. Stealing, killing, and raping. Causing harm to others, actually, in general, I'll always be against. And stealing is a big one. And that's general morality. And you could take that into the same consideration of emotional harm. So regardless of how you twist it, I can't give a direct answer where those come from, because that's in everything I've ever believed. Whether it be my parents, Christianity, Norse paganism, everything I've ever read, everything I've ever done, those have always been my morals. That's just how I've been. But I will, at the same time, I will always defend my family. I will always defend what's mine. I will always go to bat for family and friends. It's hard to say religion, Brandon. It really is, homie, because even if you took religion out of it, it is still morally wrong to kill people. Even atheists believe it's morally wrong to kill people. So you can't say religion. You can't put that on religion. Laws are laws, morals are morals. It's morally wrong to take from somebody. You can put that on whatever you want, but even atheists believe that.
I'm back. Did you miss me?
Oh, dude, I did. Brandon's coming in with some questions, and I'm trying to answer him, but he keeps bringing it back to religion. I don't know what it is with him and religion. He loves it for some reason.
He does. He does. And you know what? That's good. You know. But sorry, there we had a slight outage here. I kind of live in the forest, so if somebody sneezes, somebody sneezes bad, the power flip kind of fucked.
You're good. All lines I've thought to answer Brandon's question, though, because he does have it there. Where did that line thought originate? Actually, if you go back as far as you can, all lines of thought do technically originate from religion, because up until atheists actually existed, which I don't know when that occurred. It could have been back when you had Christians and Muslims, and even you go back to any other religion, Norse pagans, Danes, you fucking name it. You could have had people that didn't believe in the magic of religion. I think all people have always just believed morally that certain lines of thought and certain things were wrong. Just the way I see it.
With the Norse paganism, to be clear, because my listeners are smarter than the average bear, but they constitute a whole array of different types of people. When we talk about Thor and Loki and Odin, we are not talking about the MCU characters.
No, God, no.
Okay,
no.
just to
I
be
would
clear,
get filleted alive if I related them to that.
you know, just to be clear, we're not talking about Thor from the Avengers.
No, but I was Fat Thor from the Avengers
Okay, gotcha.
for Halloween in 2020. I actually had a really long beard. That shit was down to like here. It was epic. I loved it. It was great. I was drunk Thor. It was awesome.
So, how is Norse paganism different than Norse mythology?
It's not.
Okay.
Now I say that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Because just like I say with any religion, it's all your own path. It's all your own journey. You're going to interpret everything your own way. You could look at, all right, I'm going to break this down kindergarten style. Well, it's more young teen style. I am a huge fan of Rick Riordan. Don't know if you've read the Percy Jackson books. Rick Riordan.
Yeah.
He's an author.
My
Great
kids
author.
like that. The Percy Jackson books.
He also came out with the Norse series called Magnus Chase. And Even Percy Jackson's in it at some point. So was Annabeth. So he did what he believed was all his research on the different mythologies: Greek, Roman, Norse, Egyptian, and probably some more that he's done throughout his life that we don't know about because he hasn't written books about. But Norse mythology, Norse paganism, Norse beliefs, in and of themselves, all stem from the same thing. If you want to learn anything about the gods, if you want to learn anything about the heroes, if you want to learn anything about anything, you got to read the books, you got to do the research. But here's the problem. Just like the Bible, just like the Quran, just like everything else, all the books were written by man. Unfortunately, the Norse books were written by Christian man, translating the Norse beliefs and the Norse stories. So you're going to find a few different editions out there. I read Jackson Crawford's books. His Havamal was phenomenal. I actually have another one that also has the Cowboy Havamal in it, which is what his grandfather would have said these words actually stated. But yeah, it's all just, a lot of it is hoping and faith that it's true. And I have faith that all the gods, Greek, Roman, Norse, Yahweh, God himself, whatever, I have faith that they're all true. It's just what gives me strength to carry on is the Norse side.
I think he goes by Jehovah too, but they have witnesses, and not to take a cheap shot at the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I still don't understand why they don't like Halloween.
I don't either.
Since they love to knock on people's fucking doors for no fucking reason. I tell you this about the fucking Jehovah's Witnesses. Me and the soon-to-be world-famous wife, we were out one Sunday morning. You ever get one of those good drunks on a Saturday night, and you got to go get like fucking greasy-ass food Sunday morning? Oh, fuck yeah. So we were at the local Golden Corral, and getting the fucking greasiest, worst fucking food for you ever. And so we're coming. My wife's from Latrobe, man. So you know how she gets down, right? So
right.
So we're fucking coming back now. I live. Seriously, when I say I live in the forest, I'm not joking. I live in a nature preserve, and it's like we're our own thing out here, right? So we're driving up. I have kind of like a driveway to where you can't see the house from the road, right?
Yeah.
But we have like this part of the driveway. It's a turnaround. We call it the parking lot, and there's a fucking car in the parking lot, and I'm like, who the fuck are these people? They were fucking Jehovah's Witnesses parked in my fucking driveway. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Hey, can we have half an hour to tell you about our Lord and Savior? No, get the fuck out of here.
I got friends that when that happens, turn around and look at them and go, can we have half an hour to talk to you about the All-Father Odin?
Dude,
and they run away.
Dude, I would love to tell them I'm a history buff, and can I have half an hour to tell you about fucking religious history, specifically the Holocaust? And, I mean, we'll fucking...
Dude, the craziest thing, and look, I don't want to make this a religious episode. It's just funny to come across it. Is that like when you look at the different religions and what they believe? Like and here's the thing: I'm not a history buff per se. I honestly avoided history like the plague, but I've done enough religious education to understand the different faiths. And like, you look at Muslim and their belief in Allah, which is God. And then they had Muhammad, who was a prophet. So can you relate that to God and Jesus or what have you? However you want to name them, the fucking people. Names are names. It doesn't fucking matter. And then you look at the Jews who were like, hey, Jesus existed, but he wasn't the prophet. But there is a God. And then you look at Christians that are like, oh yeah, Jesus is the son of God. And there is a God and all these other things. And so I look at all this stuff and I'm like, y'all realize that you still all believe in one God, right? Who the fuck cares whether or not there was a son of God, not a son of God, all this other bullshit? You're still believing God. Why are you fighting over the dumbest shit in the world?
Sure.
That it blows my mind. the arguments and the fights and the bullshit over Jesus existed. He didn't exist. He was the Son of God. He was not the Son of God. He was a prophet. He was not a prophet. Who the fuck cares? Do you believe in God? Yes. Okay, then what's the problem? What the fuck's the issue?
Lest we forget that no more deaths have come for any other reason than in the name of God. Of
And
whatever
that
God
blows my mind when
they
people are like, when you look at the Crusades, when you look at so much of the other bullshit, it just blows my ever loving mind
you got
of
you got to answer this question right here.
mutual exclusivity. I don't want to go into that. Come on, Brandon. Quit fucking killing me, homie. Damn. It's bad enough to somehow turn into a religious show, let alone fucking mutual exclusivity. Fuck.
I'm not
Look,
even
man,
sure that I know what mutual exclusivity means.
they all own the rights. If I'm not mistaken, they all own the rights to whatever they want to fucking believe.
Okay.
So I love God. They own the rights. Whatever. I don't fucking care. Look, at the end of the day, I believe what I believe. I just want people to be good people. Fucking
Sure.
don't kill. Don't steal shit. Don't lie. Don't cheat on your spouse. And if you're a Mormon and have 10 fucking women, then fucking go for it, homie. You do you, boo-boo. I really don't care. The fact is, what ruined marriage, what ruined anything, because marriage is a religious construct, not a government one, is the fact that the government got fucking involved. So
Yeah.
if you really want to get into it, it is not religion that ruined marriage. It is not religion that ruined having 50 million wives. It is the government. So fucking get pissed at them. Not at
So,
any religion.
okay, you brought up the government. I want to get into that for a second.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because I'm always good for a good conspiracy theory, and
It was
and
aliens that have been coming from space and sending balloons. I'm all for it. Let's do
okay, what about
it.
what about the massive genocide of all birds during the pandemic, replaced with government drones? The birds aren't real people because these people are hilarious.
Oh,
They
you talking about the
started.
pigeons? The pigeons don't exist, people.
Yeah, the birds aren't real people.
So all right. I've actually heard a lot of theories on this, which is
Sure.
hilarious. This came before the pandemic. The
Okay.
birds aren't real came way before the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. Just like anything, like the moon landing is fake, the Earth is flat. Whatever. I can go through a few of them. There are a few conspiracy theories that I investigate that I can understand that I may or may not agree with. I will not disclose that fact. But the birds and the flat earth are two things that I will never, ever agree with. Except for the fact that could they potentially be using birds as drones? Yes, they could. I will agree with that. Could they? Yes. Will I agree and say all birds are fake? No, that'll never happen.
Okay. What about this one? Okay, and Brandon's bringing it up because
I see it.
it's my absolute number one favorite conspiracy theory that COVID was created by 5G towers. You can't be too close to a fucking 5G tower because you're gonna get COVID,
I love it.
and that and
I
that's
love it.
that's what created it.
No, COVID was actually created in China. COVID was created by the Americans and the Chinese and probably a few other fucking countries out there. Here's the thing. And here's where I stand with it. Fuck it. We're on your show. I'll come out and fucking say it.
Yeah,
I
bring it.
absolutely think that this is planned because the population is too large. How do you control a population? You scare them, you kill them, you make them smaller so that you can actually control them. I will never say it is the 5G towers. 5G is 5G. Wireless is not going to give you fucking any disease except for your cell phone might give you cancer, just like they've been saying that shit for years. As far as COVID goes, look, homie, I've got fucking nothing but negativity against the pandemic. I think it was all planned. I think it was all out there to kill people, and that was its entire design. I'll say that till the day I die. I don't fucking care who knows it. As far as all the vaccines, it's not a vaccine. The vaccine actually keeps you from getting sick. And we don't have a vaccine. We have a flu shot. And I don't get the fucking flu shot every year. What makes you think I'm going to get a fucking other shot every year? Doesn't fucking matter. Just the way it is. We get the flu. That's what COVID is. The COVID is the fucking flu. And we've seen people die from the fucking test vaccine bullshit. So, COVID's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's the flu. It's the flu on cocaine. Is the way I like to view it.
I guess the pandemic's over. You know,
so they say, but unless you're in China or Australia or the pandemic's a joke. Fuck 'em.
Yeah.
It was all planned. But that's just like I say the same thing about government. Our president is planned every year. I will say that till the day I die. Our president is planned from the moment they made the government full-time job, and you can make billions by being in office. Congress and everything else is planned every year because who says you voted what you voted? Who can guarantee your vote counts?
Yeah, that's getting into an area that I've made it a point to stay away from for a long time because shine my personal beliefs, but I just really don't think I'm a big proponent of local government. I don't think that it really matters
I think
to
local
the
government
average.
has a bigger voice. I think local
Yeah,
government actually matters. But I
yeah.
think when your senators, your congressmen, anybody who fucking lives in DC and makes billions of dollars, fuck them, get bent. You should retire after 4 years and go work a real job.
I think it's Hollywood for ugly people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Nailed it. I love it. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's Hollywood for ugly people.
Because at 36 years old, I could run for president and not win because, this beard is epic and I look too pretty.
I mean, it's just, who's the last president that had a beard? I think it was Ulysses S. Grant. I mean, back in the day.
You can't look this sexy and be president.
You're right.
Possible.
Oh, you're right. You gotta be in. You know what? Talk about the president here for a second. For a while there, we were getting like presidents that were younger of age. With Clinton and with W and with Obama, they're at least a little younger. And the last two, you had the Trump guy, and then you have this.
So here's the best, right? So I'm gonna go on a little rant real quick.
Oh, please.
I do not fall into the far right or the far left. I think they're both pieces of shit. You can die, go burn in hell. I don't fucking care. Whatever hell you believe in, fucking they can go there. I don't fucking care. Trump caused division, but I do think he did some good things. But I also think he was very divisive, which is what brought Sleepy Joe. Obama was a piece of shit too. Bush was a piece of shit too. So if we're gonna go by age, I can go back decades and find them all to be pieces of shit. Every single one of them. Here's the problem. People get pissed off at Clinton for getting a blowjob in the White House.
I ain't mad at him.
Look, if his woman would have taken care of him, maybe he wouldn't have done that.
And along those lines, you're going to be.
If we're going to be comedy about it, and we're going to be comedians, there was a comedian that said if Hillary would have taken care of her main missile, this shit wouldn't have happened. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, also though, wouldn't you cheat on Hillary if you were married to her?
I mean, she's a bitch.
I mean, seriously.
When you let fucking Benghazi happen, anybody who lets the troops suffer can get fucking bent. That's the way I see it.
No, I feel you.
Get bent. I was a soldier. I was an airman, and I will go to bat for any of my Marines, my seamen, I said seamen. That's what the Navy is called. My airmen and my soldiers, and even the fucking Space Force that like to think they're special, and the Coast Guard, any day of the week. The fact remains, you let your fucking people on the ground suffer or in the air, get fucking bent. I feel the same way about Sleepy Joe. I feel the same way about Hillary, and I feel the same way about anybody else that does it. The fact is, George Bush put us there over some bullshit. He was cleaning up daddy's dirty work.
Sure.
Get fucking bent, homie. You weren't there for nuclear missiles. You were there for daddy's dirty work. That's what you were doing. You weren't there for the real shit. I know people that were fucking no people. Yeah. So we want to get real with it. He wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't going there for anything important. He was going there to clean up for Senior. Fuck him. Get bent. You can get the hell out of here. I feel the same way about everybody else. Obama's let so much bullshit happen. Trump let, as much as I think he did good policy-wise in keeping us out of wars that weren't already started, he still can get bent because he was a divisive piece of shit that should have kept his ass off of Twitter and kept his ass off the internet. And Sleepy Joe, you just let a bunch of fucking soldiers die overseas. Get fucking bent. Homie, get the hell out of here. You ain't even awake. I don't fucking care. Hillary can get bent. You should not be able to have the same family in office for more than 2 terms. Fuck you, get the fuck out of here. Hillary can go to hell too.
What about, talk about conspiracy theories. There's a big conspiracy theory about what happened on January 6th of what was that, 2021?
Yeah.
Right?
No, was it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's 2021. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the government's in on everything, so I think they all are in on it, and I think they all knew about it, and I think not a single fucking one of them cared. I think they all knew about it, and they're just playing each other against each other. Because here's the thing: when you know people that know people,
yeah,
you find out that all the senators and congressmen are actually friends, and they talk about this shit in the bars after they're done bitching about each other online.
Right?
Yeah, they're bullshitting about it. So, do I think it was all planned? Yes, I do. Do I think it was all meant to divide us and make us think that, oh, whites hate blacks, blacks hate whites, left hates right, right hates left? Do I think that's what was its whole premise? Yes, I do. I do not think there was anything about that other than the fact that it was meant to divide us.
Right.
Because here's the thing. I love everybody. I think everybody has a place. I think everybody has a purpose. I think everybody has the ability to be great. I think every single person out there has the ability to make a name for themselves and earn their living. But the government wants us fighting against each other so that they can keep getting rich and hold us down. I will stand by that fact.
Because it's about what you said earlier. It's about fear. It's about there's a movie out there that says that the way that you win elections is you make somebody afraid of something and you tell them who's to blame for it. And
if you were to sit here and quit taking black people and putting them in the ghettos on mainstream media and on movies and everything else and saying they're thugs and drug dealers and murderers and killers, you know how many more kids and teenagers and people will be friends with another fucking race? A lot. But because the media portrays this, and this is what we put in our movies, and this is what we put on TV, this is what we put on the news, we don't put the positivity. We don't put the police officers that have done great shit for humanity on the news. No. We're going to blow it up. And we're not going to put the black cop that shot somebody. We're going to put the white cop that shot somebody on there because it's a race issue. Mm-hmm. So instead of promoting unity, instead of promoting all the positivity that actually comes out of the world, we're going to promote the negative. We're going to make different genders and races and sexes and all this other bullshit fight. And I think the government has a huge hand in mainstream media because you see that with the way everybody but Fox News does things, because Fox News is far right. As much as people want to say they're not, they are. And everyone else is far left. It all depends on who's in office. And
so see
that forever.
So
no, Brandon, everybody needs to get bent. Fuck you all. I don't care. Actually, that's a lie. I love you all. I really don't fucking care. You do you, boo-boo.
I can attest.
You only need to get bent if you're an asshole.
I can attest that Brandon loves everybody too. But But tell me if you agree with this real quick. And I've thought this for years that whether you're left or whether you're right, you're elected official, you're in Congress, Senate, whatever, and whether you're left or whether you're right, that I think that they all act in front of the cameras like they hate each other. And I think behind closed doors, they're all on the same side and they're all in on it.
Well, I said that earlier. That's what they do. I know people that have worked in the Pentagon. Hell, I've worked in the Pentagon. Granted, I didn't go out to bars with them, but I know people that did. And literally, they would bitch and complain and yell and scream and call each other names in front of the cameras. But then after hours, go to the bar, have a drink, and talk together. What the government is the greatest soap opera that no one ever knew was a soap opera. That's what it is. So everybody bitches about wrestling being fake. And look, don't get it twisted.
Wait. Wrestling's not fake. Wrestling's not fake.
I was going to come on screen my Rey Mysterio mask. I was going to do it. But
is that an authentic Rey Mysterio mask?
Yeah, I got my buddy bought it for me. It came in a bag and everything. It is the real Rey Mysterio mask. I also got my picture of Liv Morgan here autographed. But what I will say is, when people want to bitch about wrestling, I think the same thing about the government. The government is, hey, dude, hey, homie, if I went too hard on you, I'm sorry. Dude, I love you. We're cool. Look, hey, who are you gonna go buy stock from? Do you have an inside deal? Do you know who's fucking up? Cool. All right, I'm gonna sell this one. I'm gonna buy that one. All right, cool. Let's go. And that's what they do. That's how I see government, and that's how I've always seen it. And that's what people don't realize. People want to look at the government and think that they're all angry at each other and they all hate each other. But it's not true. I think they all love each other. And I think they're all in on it together, because how can you work a job for $100 and some $1,000 a year and come out a billionaire? Or every single one of them comes out a billionaire or a millionaire, at the very least, several $1 million they're worth.
In the case of the president, why would one spend $1 billion to get a job that makes 400 grand? You know, these are questions to ponder. You know,
granted, Trump was worth several billion, so
sure,
for him it was no big deal. But for everybody else, it's a big fucking deal. Unless, I know someone and I have stocks that I can sell, or I got lobbyists in my pocket, and people are going to donate to me. Yeah, it's all a joke. Government is a joke these days. It's been a joke for years. It's been a joke since before we can remember, and any one of us was born, but we've all bought into it. Every single one of us has bought into it. The fact is, the original government was never supposed to be a full-time job. The original government was a per diem. You got paid when you were in session. Other than that, you worked a regular job.
Right.
So you had to earn your living.
Like an NFL referee.
It became a full-time job is the moment it fell apart.
Right. Real quick, we got just a few minutes left here. Tell me about, not to totally change the subject, but tell me about the cybersecurity hour, happy hour.
So security happy hour is my live show every Friday. So this is what I do. I take anybody trying to break into cybersecurity, anybody who is brand new into cybersecurity, and I bring them on the show. Now, every once in a while, the new people get too shy. I got to bring in someone that's been a little bit more experienced and wants to be on the show. Just kind of spread a message and help people out. But it is live every Friday. I have drinks every Friday.
Sweet.
I may or may not get hammered every Friday. It really depends.
It happens.
But it is all for new people trying to break into cybersecurity.
Sure.
And it is one of those things that when I first started the show, so it is my longest running show. It is at 117 episodes.
Nice.
I started in 2020, took a little bit of a break in 2021 when I was moving. But it is one of those things where I've seen so many podcasts and YouTube shows and everything else about all these experienced people in industry. And I was like, I want to do something different. So, even though I've had a lot of experienced people on, I want my target audience and I want the target guest to be new people, people that need a voice for themselves, people that have never been to a conference, people that have never been on a podcast. This is what I want. Because to me, getting your voice heard when it's never been heard is more important than someone that has been on every podcast known to man.
Sure.
And so for me, that's where my show started.
You know what I tried to do when we went to this format was because I have a different guest every week, and
Me
what I
too.
try to get somebody from like a different walk of life. Like last week on here was a magician, and the week before
Nice. I
that,
like it.
we talked sports for an hour, and NFL football, and so much like everybody, a lot of people that are on this medium, I started in radio and was on
Dude,
local
I
radio
would
here.
love to do some radio shows. That'd be fucking great.
Dude, radio was fun, man. I had a
Granted,
3 hour.
I got a face for TV, but I got a voice for radio.
Well, my mom told me I have a fucking a face for radio. So, but I try to get guests like from all walk of life. I mean, it would be very easy for me to have a different comedian on here every fucking week, but then you start
Can you get
regurgitating.
Gabriel Iglesias? Fluffy's
Here's
like
a funny
amazing.
Here's a
love
funny
Fluffy.
story about him. So he was here in Jacksonville. We had the opportunity to be there. The soon to be world famous wife and I had the opportunity to be there. He is what specials on Netflix. You don't get you get different because there's like after the cameras turn off, he does another hour and he does it hammered. He'll bring out tequila and he'll drink it on stage and he does it hammered and it's fucking hilarious. And it's a side of him that you never see because he prides himself on being a clean comic, a comic for all ages. And I could attest to you that that last hour where the cameras were shut off, that he is any comic that I've ever seen. It was really, really, really cool.
Dude, I got to see that man in person then because
Oh yeah,
Fluffy has been someone that I think is hilarious for years.
sure.
I've watched I think almost every single one of his stand-ups.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get into his well, it's not that I couldn't get into his show. It's just I didn't really have the time to watch his show that he ended up coming out with. But yeah, I love Fluffy. And if he does a show drunk, I have got to get in person to see that because that would be
he
absolutely
easy drank a
riot.
bottle of tequila. He easy drank a bottle of tequila.
That's awesome.
And
I love comedians though.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun. I guarantee you I watch comedians a little differently than you.
I watch them so all right. So let me ask you this. All right, I'm gonna flip it on you. I'm gonna ask you a question. What is your take on Carlos Mencia? Because when I first saw him, he was great, and then I saw a lot of negativity. So what's your thoughts on him? As you're out, you're gone. I can't even talk to you. Fuck. All right. I don't know what I'm gonna do with Kev. Kev's out of here. Kev ran away from me. Kev. All right, Kev left. Brandon, you still here? Brandon, can you hear me? Are you here, Brandon? Brandon, are you here? I need a drink beer. All right, well, Kev's out. So this is what I'm gonna say. Besides the fact that I love comedians, I'm all about motivation. Oh, Kev's back. Hold up.
Yeah, man. Sorry, dude. We're having some power issues over here.
There we go. Look, I'll run the show without you. We could make
cool,
this work.
man.
I ain't even mad at it.
Cool, man. Cool.
So what's your take? Because you know comedians. What's your take on Carlos Mencia? Did he steal material or no?
Yes, he did. Yeah, I've watched it. I've watched him and Joe Rogan's deal many times. I've watched the act that he was accused of stealing, and it is close. Here's kind of the rule of thumb on that: if you think it's close, don't perform it. You know, if it's anywhere near close, because that can get you blackballed quicker than it. You could go on some racist rant, and stealing a joke will get you blackballed quicker than anything.
So I used to watch him a lot.
Yeah.
I thought he was hilarious. I didn't even know he stole jokes because I didn't listen to half the comedians that people say he stole a joke from. And I thought it was great. And then people were like, oh, he steals jokes, this and the third. Then all of a sudden I quit seeing him. And I was like, oh, it must have been real. Because he's no longer around.
Yeah, he was big for a while. And
he had the Carlos Mencia show on Comedy Central and everything else.
Sure. Yeah, he was big for a while. He's nothing of the fact. I just, I've done the research on it, and yeah, I mean it's extremely close. But there have been other comics also that have been accused of stealing jokes, and that nothing happened to them. Amy Schumer was accused of it. Louis C.K. was accused, or Louis C.K. accused Dane Cook of it. And when you watch the jokes, they're very close. They'll change them, for a little bit. It's not like the old rule that it needs to be 33.3% different. I mean, just, there's so much material out there, and if you think you've heard something before, that's why in my act, or in others acts that when they ask, I always say, look, talk about yourself, because that's the one thing that nobody else can take.
Well, and that was going to be my point to comedy is, unless you're taking it from life experience and things you've experienced personally,
right?
Everything's repeatable. When you look at, and again, as a wrestling fan, people want to bitch and complain, and they always do. The internet wrestling community is horrendous.
Sure.
For anything fucking today. They're like, oh, this is this storyline, or this is this storyline, or this is that, and this is the third. And, they always got something to bitch about. And the reality of it is, unless you take it from your personal life, even in comedy, you're going to repeat the same jokes.
Sure.
You're going to repeat the same material. And so you have to take it from yourself. And that's why my favorite thing about Gabriel Iglesias is the stuff he talks about his family, his son, or stepson, and his girlfriend or whatever. Like, that is always my favorite material, because it's hilarious and it's relatable.
Sure.
In terms of, it's his own kids, it's his own life, it is his personal experience, and that's the way I look at things. And even Cat Williams, who I'm sure has had things said about him, his big thing about haters. And when he came out, he goes, hey, if you got no one to hate on me. Like, I feel the same way, because like the haters, the different things. So the way he said things and the way he articulated his thoughts, and the personal relationship he built with how he told his stories was more relatable. And so I think that hits home more and is a lot funnier than just retelling someone else's jokes.
Sure.
And there's a difference between jokes and real life stories that happen to be funny. And I think real life stories that happen to be funny are better than jokes any day of the week.
Sure. I'm more of a storyteller than there's storytellers and there's one-liner guys. And I'm more of a storyteller too. I've actually been accused of being too long-winded, but I follow the formula of, you have 6 laugh breaks a minute. So
Nice.
try to follow that formula in anything that I do, but I never tell the same story the same way twice. Every time I tell a story, like one of the ones that everybody on that's listened to me on this program has ever heard, they've heard the restaurant story where me and my wife, we go to a restaurant. And it's I'm not gonna say the name of it because they don't pay me money to advertise,
There you go.
but they have printed like countries on the tables, and her mother was a travel agent, and she was saying that there wasn't anything, being married to me now, there wasn't anything I could say that would embarrass her. And I said, "Oh yeah." And in this particular table we were at had Germany and Poland on it, and I said, "You've traveled Europe, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, you've been to Germany?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You've been to Poland?" She said, "Yeah." And then I said, I raised my voice and I said, "Could you point to on the map where they used to burn the Jews?" And
Oh man. Oh, brutal.
I've never told that story the same way twice. And then there's a second part to that story, that we live in an area that there's a synagogue around there, and we were driving through one day, and I'm like, "Why are all these people like walking around?" And my wife's like, "Dumbass, they're not allowed to drive on the Sabbath like that. They're Jewish. It's their Sabbath. They're not allowed to drive." And I was like, "Oh, we should go home and get your car and come and pick them up and give them a ride." And it just didn't dawn on me that she was driving a Volkswagen. Yeah, just shit like that.
Hey, we did it in a very uncomfortable position in the back of a Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, yeah. That's a movie called Mallrats, folks. Yeah, that's a movie, a Kevin Smith movie
Yeah,
there called Mallrats. But
Mallrats is great.
hey, tell the people about Walk With Me real quick.
So Walk With Me was actually a brainchild of my journey through Norse paganism and reading the Havamal, and then also me talking to other people in Discord servers. Well, one in particular, where I started coming up with more motivational stuff and more self improvement, because it was more blunt and to the point of it's all about you. And so Walk With Me is my take on how to better live your life,
Okay.
whether it is through nature or through just self-awareness. And it goes back to a lot of even what my daily videos are now on YouTube. And it is so much more about just my journey, my path, things that I have found that help my life. I will tell my own stories if I find it's relatable to the topic I'm talking about. But I also put up an AMA. So you can ask me anything about self improvement, anything you're struggling with, anything you're dealing with, and I will try to answer your questions as best I can, um, and relate it to things that I've dealt with. And that's the big thing about it is in all my shows, everything I do is usually trying to help others. So it's always motivational, inspirational, self improvement, self help, mental health, depression. Look, I take happy pills every day, so I fucking know what it's like, So you name it, that's kind of where I'm at with it, is just how I can best help others. And it was my way of breaking away from cybersecurity. It was my way of breaking away from the same group of people and reaching a different crowd, and in the mental health and depression and self improvement aspect of things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it comes out every Wednesday, correct?
Odin's Day. Yep,
Okay. And
indeed.
it's audio only.
No, no, no. It's not
Okay.
now on YouTube.
Oh,
Now on
nice.
YouTube every Wednesday. I am on YouTube, and I am on every major podcast platform.
Nice. Nice. You know what I always find funny? I listen to probably like you. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I'm in the car a lot, hitting the road and stuff like that. And at the end of it, and I do it too. And at the end of it, it can be found wherever you download podcasts. Well, who's not on every platform other than Joe Rogan? I mean,
He's the only one with a contract. Look, if Spotify would offer me a contract to be on their platform for $1 million a year, I
sure,
would fucking do that shit in a heartbeat.
I'd probably do it for 500 grand.
You're right. I probably would too. But I'm not Joe Rogan.
Right?
I'm broke. I've got 5 boys and a
Oh
wife,
wow.
so I have no money.
Okay.
So for anything I do, everything I do is in the description. You can always go to cyberwarriorstudios.com. You can always find ways to support the shit I do because my broke ass has to support 7 people.
Sure, sure. I don't have seven people that are dependents, but I do have 2 high school age children. One of which who is going to college next year. So
Oh,
yeah,
my nephew,
so
actually, my godson goes to college next year. He actually just got a scholarship, well, 2 scholarships to Slippery Rock. So he'll
nice.
be going to college next year for football and academics. And I can't wait because he's I hope he goes pro and gives me some money.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Don't.
broke. I need money, homie.
Yeah, I feel you.
Somebody pay me.
I feel you. So, well, I wanted to thank you for coming on. They could find you at cyberwarriorstudios.com, correct?
Yep, that is
Cool.
the
And
site to get me. That is where you will find all of my shows. That is where you will find all of my social media. Because I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Fuck, you name it. I'm probably there. YouTube, Twitch. Yeah, I'm everywhere. Fuck it. We'll just go with that.
cool. It's Cyber Warrior Studios. We'll put that in the show notes for those of you who can't watch us on Monday night. We're usually on Tuesday nights, but tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and I'm not fucking with that. So, we're not going to record on Valentine's Day. For those of you who, that's probably why you're single. So, anyhow, but for those of you who didn't watch this on YouTube, you get to wait till Wednesday. Look in the show notes, cyberwarriorstudios.com. Again, thank you very much for joining us. Don't go anywhere real quick. I want to remind everybody out there about the other Unfiltered Studios shows. It's Finding Your Way, comes out Thursday, which, if you're listening to this on audio, will be tomorrow. And Pedals of Support each and every Tuesday, as well as a Stupid History Minute, which right now they're coming out every day. So, again, we want to thank the Cyber Warrior for joining us. And for the Cyber Warrior, my name is the Kev, and we will catch you guys next week.